Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about All Quiet on the Western Front. And this movie's on Netflix, and it came out in 2022. And there's two other versions of this movie at least, and I haven't seen either of those movies. And to tell you the truth, I had no idea that this was a remake, and those other versions I've never seen before, and I just thought this was an original film, but nope, it's a remake. And I believe this is also based on a book, and I was pretty excited for this movie, and I've heard good things about it, and it was nominated for multiple Oscars, and I was kind of disappointed by this movie, and I thought the best part of the movie was the opening scene. And the reason why I love the opening scene is because it kind of peaks at that point in terms of its presentation and the action. And once the title card of the title of the film shows up, after that point, the film gradually kind of starts to go downhill a bit, and it just stays there, and it's just okay for the rest of the film. And I like some of the ideas put into the movie, and it's an anti-war film, and I kind of like the idea of having these kids going into war, and they're just doing it because they think it's cool, and them having no idea what is going to happen, and it being a big mistake for all of them. And that I liked, but in execution I wasn't satisfied by the end of it, because it's not really touched on all that much, because after the first 30 minutes it doesn't really feel like I'm experiencing that anymore. It just feels like I'm watching events happen, and bad things are happening within these events, but I don't feel any of it. I don't feel like I'm getting much out of it, unfortunately. And one of my least favorite elements of this movie would be the music, and it was just generic and distracting, overbearing at times, and it never once fit the tone of the film. And the only scenes where the music worked were the scenes that had no music, and I was fine with those scenes. And there aren't too many of them from memory. And there was also some CG fire in this movie that looked really bad. And what made it particularly distracting was that there was no smoke, and it just looked really fake, and that took me out of the movie. It's not in the movie a whole lot, but when it does show up, it's pretty distracting. And the action in the movie, it was fine, it did the job, but I also didn't really care about the characters, and I didn't feel anything when any of them died. And in a movie like Dunkirk, where it doesn't really develop the characters at all, really, it's just you get a few tiny little things with them. Like, you see one character has a wedding ring on, and you can pick up that, okay, that character's married, and he wants to get back to her, and he doesn't want to go back into the war. And that made sense in Dunkirk, because it's so short and straight to the point that it just tells you what you want. I'm not saying Dunkirk is a perfect movie, but point is, because it's a shorter movie, it's easier to forgive the lack of character development in that movie. Whereas in this movie, it kind of needed it a bit more, because this movie's 2.5 hours long, whereas Dunkirk is like just under 90 minutes, I believe. And you can see how much a runtime can affect characters in a movie, regardless of how much development they have. There was a point in the movie where a character got shot, and it was just really confusing as to like what happened, and that was kind of weird. The movie did look nice. That was one of the things that I loved about the movie, was that it was very well shot, and it was very nice to look at. And also the performances in this movie were very good, and no one stood out to me as bad. But unfortunately, the core of this movie just didn't really work for me, unfortunately. Once I got like, I don't know, 50 minutes into the movie, that's where I kind of checked out, and I was just completely bored for the rest of the movie. And there wasn't really anything interesting going on, and I was just emotionally checked out at that point. There were also some really stupid moments, and it was just having me think, what are you doing? And it mostly just came from the characters as to like what they were doing, because it was just so stupid that I couldn't help but not ask that question. Like, what are you doing? And that's about all I have to say about All Quiet on the Western Front. It was very disappointing, kind of boring. I didn't care about what was going on. I liked some of the ideas that were thrown into the film. They were interesting on their own. And the performances were good. It's very well shot. It's very nice to look at, but unfortunately, it doesn't make up for the fact that the music was bad. I was bored throughout the entire film. I didn't like the characters, and the action, while it was fine, there was nothing impressive about it, and I just was checked out emotionally for the majority of it. And with all that being said, I'm going to give All Quiet on the Western Front a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of All Quiet on the Western Front, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Gift. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.